Why would anyone make a cup barely 4 inches tall from travertine and gold, and place it in the tomb of 3 foreign royal wives? This New Kingdom goblet, dated to the reign of Thutmose III, survives with its materials, inscription and burial context still pointing toward an elite royal world. The object itself is small, only 10.5 centimeters, or just over 4 inches high and 8 centimeters across. Its body is carved from travertine, often called Egyptian alabaster, and gold accents the rim and foot. The pale stone gives the cup a soft, warm appearance, while the gold creates a sharp visual contrast. Even before we ask who used it, the materials tell us this was not ordinary household pottery. The date is about 1479 to 1425 BC, during Egypt's 18th dynasty and the reign of Thutmose III. But the most important clue is not the date. It is where the goblet came from, Wadi D in the western Theban desert, from the tomb associated with 3 foreign wives of Thutmose III. Those women are known as Menhet, Menwi and Merti. Their burial, now called Wadi D-1, was cut into the desert cliffs. The goblet was part of the remarkable group of objects associated with that tomb. That connection gives us something rare, not just a beautiful vessel, but a vessel tied to a very specific royal burial environment. And this is where the story becomes more complicated. The tomb was robbed in 1916, and objects from the burial were dispersed through the antiquities market before the original arrangement could be fully documented. So although this goblet can be connected with the tomb group, we cannot know for certain where it originally stood inside the chamber, or which of the 3 women it belonged to. That uncertainty matters. It would be tempting to look at a royal period object and say, this was Thutmose III cup, or to imagine one particular wife drinking from it at a banquet. The evidence does not allow that. The object is recorded as coming from the tomb of the 3 wives, but individual ownership is unknown. What we can study is the cup itself. On the front is a vertical sequence of hieroglyphs centered on an oval cartouch. Other vessels from the same tomb group are explicitly inscribed with the name of Thutmose III, and the official record dates this goblet to his reign. That makes the royal context strong, but it still does not tell us exactly who held the cup when it was used or what it contained. Its material adds another layer of evidence. Travertine was widely used in Egypt for carefully worked stone vessels. Unlike pottery, a stone cup had to be shaped by removing material from a solid block, controlling both the outside profile and the hollow interior. On this goblet, that stone body was then combined with gold. The result is an object whose value came not from size, but from material, labor, and finish. Was it actually used for drinking? Possibly. Modern scholarship has grouped this vessel among wine cups from the tomb, and the shape certainly works as a small drinking vessel, but the official object record simply calls it a goblet and does not identify its original contents. No surviving liquid tells us what was once inside. So wine cup is a reasonable scholarly interpretation, not a fact we can prove from the cup alone. The tomb context also changes how we should imagine its purpose. At minimum, this goblet became part of funerary equipment. It was placed in a burial belonging to women of the royal household. Whether it had first been used during life, was presented as a royal gift, or was produced specifically for burial is harder to establish for this particular object. There is a useful comparison within the same tomb group. Other small stone vessels from the burial carry Thutmose III cartouch, and some are interpreted as royal gifts. The tomb also contained vessels in other expensive materials, including silver and glass. Seen together, these objects show that the women were buried with a deliberately rich collection of containers rather than with one isolated luxury cup. That gives us a careful chain of reasoning. We see a small vessel made from travertine and gold. We see an inscription with a cartouch on its surface. We know it came from a tomb belonging to 3 wives of Thutmose III. We know comparable vessels from the same burial bear his name. From those clues, it is reasonable to place this goblet within the material world of the royal household and its funerary equipment. But the final step has to remain cautious. We cannot identify its individual owner. We cannot prove that Thutmose III personally gave it to her. We cannot prove that it held wine on a particular evening, or that it was used in a ceremony. Those scenes may be plausible reconstructions, but they are not preserved history. And that is what makes this little cup more interesting, not less. Its importance does not depend on inventing a famous person holding it. The evidence already tells a strong story. A vessel barely larger than a hand was made from carefully worked stone, finished with gold, marked by royal imagery, and placed among the burial goods of 3 women connected to Egypt's court. So why make something so small so luxurious? Because in this setting, size was never the point. The materials, workmanship, inscription, and burial context all signaled value. What we cannot recover is the exact moment of use. What we can recover is the world that valued it enough to place it in a royal tomb, and still leaves us evidence to read more than 3,000 years later.